This video is going to explain how we set up the call schedule to where the doctors take their own calls during the week and then alternate weekends for being on call. So there's kind of two parts to this. The first part is going to be through the voice menus. So I have two different voice menu schedules. You'll have the weekend menu and then the menu where doctors take their own calls. So that's this one. So what's going to happen is you'll have your normal options, whatever they might be, hours and directions, something that's not urgent where you'll send an email or whatever you so choose, and that'll be done during setup by us. And then you'll also have this other option which leads to a nested menu. So what that will say is if you have an urgent message for a doctor, press 4. So they would press 4, which would then take them to another menu that would say, for Dr. Dole, press 1, for Dr. Van Ness, press 2. That will allow the patient to leave a message for their doctor, which will then be routed to the appropriate person on call. So then the weekend menu will take them here, and then those calls, this is a module for the on-call schedule, so whoever's on call for the weekend will get these calls. So the next thing that we're going to do is go to the voice menu schedule. So as you can see here, you have the regular call schedule playing in the week where the doctors are receiving their own calls, and then it switches on Fridays at 5 p.m. to the weekend menu, and then it'll trigger that voice menu. What I went over in the beginning of this video was more of just a general explanation of what's going on behind the scenes. So now I'm going to show you what you would be responsible for scheduling and what needs to be done on your end. So there's 3 different departments, and this number would vary depending on how many doctors you have. It would always be the number of doctors plus 1 for the weekend schedule. So we have 2 doctors, so we have 3 different departments, 1 for each doctor, and then the weekend schedule. So this one is linked to Dr. Dole. So as you can see, she's on call forever. I'm going to go back to the voice menu here and kind of explain. So remember, it'll tell them if they want to speak to a doctor, urgent, press 4. So they'd press 4, and then they'd have the option to speak to Dr. Dole or Dr. Van Ness. So this little module here is what's linking them to this schedule right here. So that's why she's always on call. And then it's the same thing for Dr. Van Ness. He's always on call when linked to his module. So then the third option is the one that gets a little bit confusing, and then that's the weekend one. So this schedule is linked to the voice menu that only plays on the weekends. So you can kind of ignore all this stuff Monday through Thursday because patients are never going to have an option to use those options. So instead, all you need to worry about is placing whoever you want to be on call for that weekend, placing them on call for that Friday. So I already have this done with them alternating, but I'll just make some changes as an example. So I'll just clear these out really quickly. And let's say we want to put Sydney on call for the weekend of the 10th, so I just drag him over. And then as always, that puts him on call until the end of time, unless otherwise changed. So we want Lexus on call for the 17th, so we put her there. And then Sydney again. So now we have the doctors alternating, taking turns, taking calls on the weekend. And a lot of people get a little bit confused here because it shows that this person remains on call for the entire week. But that's actually not the case because this is only linked to the weekend voice menu, which doesn't play during the week, which means you can pretty much count all of this out, like pretend that it's not even there, because the only thing that's going to matter are the options on the weekends. And as you can see, you've got Van Ness, Van Ness, Van Ness, and then Dole, 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 and that just goes on for the end of the month. So that's the only thing that the managers or doctors or whoever's in charge of the call schedule will be responsible for doing. And then I'll just go back to the voice menu again. So that's the reason we have the 2 separate things. For their own call schedules, the provider or the patient will press 4. They'll select Dole or Van Ness, and that call will go to whoever they select. On the weekend, it'll go to the weekend schedule, which, as you see here, alternates between providers.